All right, everyone, welcome back for the episode of Carnivore Trades. Today's Friday, December 6th, 2024. If you're not done so already, please give the video a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts, analysis, and live day trading. Doing some revamping too in the live day trading room and really updating the digs here, and I'm excited about that. So very good stuff here coming down the pike. Anyways, let's get into it today. So markets here, again, pretty much just kind of a flattish day. Actually, I should say that the Qs were up almost 1%. And we did exceed that 525 target that I gave you guys earlier this week. We talked about like looking at 605. If we could sustain above that, we should go close to 610 and 525 on QQQ, and we actually closed significantly above that. So market makers actually had to take on a little bit of risk here as we got to the end of the day, and it looks like some calls kind of went into the money, to be honest, by the end of the day. So at least some of those 527 got burned out, but 525, there was a lot of calls that got paid out there. So anyway, yeah, regardless, really good price action for the Qs. Now, right now, I think next week we could be looking at a little bit of a role reversal. I've been telling you guys for the last couple of weeks that Mag 7 should kind of catch up, and that has happened. Look at Tesla. This should top out around 400 next week. That's kind of what we're looking for. When I say top out, I don't mean it's going to like crash or anything, but I think that's a little bit of a cap for next week, and that's very close to the previous. I mean, there's the all-time high right there. So I'm looking for that to kind of stall out at 400. Again, that's not a short. I'm just telling you that's kind of where we're looking for it to go. But look at that move here. And then you got Amazon, new all-time high, 3% today. Meta, up 2.5%, new all-time high. We've been talking, I've been bullish on Netflix for half a year. And, up almost 2%, new all-time high. That's probably going to go to 1,000. So we've got these Mag 7 plays starting to catch up. Apple on breakout, obviously. Microsoft on breakout. And you got Google starting to uptick, although that's still, got some space to go here. That said, I think that next week, just based on some of the stuff that I'm seeing, the flows I'm seeing, and the technicals here, I think we could get a little bit of a dip into maybe like 600. That's really all I'm looking for here. So, is there more risk down the pipe? Yeah. Is there froth in this market? Yeah. Hawk Tua, Roaring Kitty coming back last night. I mean, this is kind of fitting. Granted, it didn't really hold the gains here. And by the way, AMC, death taxes and AMC selling stock. Those are three sure things in life, and there you go. But yeah, I mean, we're seeing the froth here. But again, look at the volume here. This is a Friday. I'm doing the video 20 minutes after the close, right? We haven't even traded 30 million shares. This is including after hours volume. This was last Friday. We traded 30 million shares on a day where the market was open 3.5 hours, right? We're open 7 today, right? And we're including after hours, and we still haven't done the same amount of volume yet. We will by the end of after hours, but this is really light. So doesn't mean we can't pull back. We managed to carve out a little gain. They gave us a token pump into the last 10 seconds, but I do think that right now it's just really hard to fight this tape in the bigger picture. I know everybody's talking about, well, everybody's bullish. Well, I mean, yeah, but when there's no liquidity for sellers, it kind of doesn't matter. There's billions of dollars that go into the market every single day, and there's going to be a lot more getting recollateralized at the end of the year. Now, that said, I think we can pull back here. Like RSI is a little hot in the 4-hour, hot on the daily. Those marked local tops the last 2 times. Doesn't mean you can't go through it. Stochastic, for those of you who follow that, starting to flip over. Again, we're not looking for anything major here, but I think there's some fishing nets out there for maybe the Fed week. Another thing, too, if we look at it from more like a psychological standpoint or a sensible standpoint, which, if you want to call it that, we had non-farm payroll this morning, right? And it was kind of Goldilocks, right? So economy's strong, but not strong enough to get rid of the rate cut expectation. So now it's actually higher. It's 85%. But it's like, okay, well, now you got all the good news out of the way. Next week, we got CPI. CPI doesn't move the market the way it used to. And then the week after that, we got FOMC. So I think you're kind of looking at a market where everything's kind of priced in now. Maybe we see some backing fill. Maybe I'm wrong. We just melt up, but that's just what I see right now. I'm just following dealers here. Anyway, NQ, again, it's not uncommon to have a back test of a breakout. I think we can get that next week. You see it on Apple there too. It's similar. It's fractionally lower today. Could we pull back to this area? Microsoft. Close green, but off the highs. Could it pull back to this 430 area and then back up? I think these are likely scenarios. So that's kind of what we're looking for right now. Overall, doesn't change our big picture into the end of the year. I still think the IWM tries to get to 250 by some point in the next month. Right, so maybe it pulls back more to 235, but I think you're going to flip from Russell underperformance to NASDAQ underperformance over the next week or two. Relatively speaking. That doesn't mean they're all shorts. It just means that relatively speaking. Why do I think that? Because there's tons of dispersion out there still. And if we're going to get a pullback, it's likely going to come from NASDAQ, and the Russell should outperform that. And I think once that's done, I think that'll try and make a run towards 250. Dow here, backing off of 450. Not really a big a deal. I guess next level is right around 440 or so. SMH here. So we talked about 245 being short-term support, and we didn't even really get there. We'll see what it does next week. This is still having a lot of trouble here. We do have Broadcom earnings next week. This will move the market. If that goes to all-time highs, that will be a catalyst for the semis. Big time. Maybe that gets NVIDIA off its ass, right? It's been doing nothing here. And I don't know, one thing that could make me bullish is if I start seeing this head and shoulder all over the internet and we come down to it, that would probably get me bullish, honestly. But Broadcom's going to be the mover next week, so everything else doesn't even matter. IGV just continues. I'm done with IGV. I'm done with IGV at this point. I wish I held it longer. All right, Dow Transport's here. Good pullback here, and it's fading a lot of the gains. You have a possible M here. I'm going to say this probably, I'll give it the downside bias of the 50 MA and 16.6. Again, you got a lot of convergence here, right? Big trend line, 50 MA, 16.6. This is a big level. So I would expect this to hold here, at least on the first test. So looks like, it's a big concern right now, but it's really not when you look at the bigger time frames. All right, interest rates here. By the way, I got my I got this up. I don't talk about it very often, but I think Shanghai is interesting here. And I do have a little bit of ASHR, just full disclosure. I think this can start to come back up. That really extends to pretty much all emerging markets, I think, too, in the near term. But 2-year, obviously down. Yield curves are going the right way again. So all is well in the world for now. That said, yeah, we're below 4.1. I talked about this. I said, if the 2-year yield gets below what? 4.1, then the Fed can start cutting. And look at that. Today, this is kind of what happened. Rate cut odds are now at 85, 87%, whatever they are. So we're below 4.1. Everything's okay for now. Now, here's the thing. 10s, yeah, losing some steam here. But again, it's funny, don't be too quick to count yields out, because people have been doing that for the last 5 years. And again, if we just zoom out here, there's nothing saying we don't just bull flag here and then break out. Wage growth, if we want to get into the macro talk here, wages grew. And guess what, guys? Everybody loves to talk about how the jobs were revised down. Oh, jobs were revised down, jobs were revised down. Guess which way they were revised this time? I'll let you figure it out. There's only 2 answers. So we'll see. Quarter one's going to be interesting. But right now, at face value, I'm not touching yields, and yeah, bonds are rallying. XHB, up 38 cents, but weekly close back below 120. Is it the end of the world? No, we're still above all the moving averages, but this hasn't gone anywhere in like 3-4 months. BNQ is also a little disappointing. So I haven't played this, but down 14 cents. I would expect a little bit more, right? This is an area that it should be bouncing at. We'll see what it does next week. Maybe sometimes it takes a few days to get going, but we'll see. If it's strong, it should be able to bounce right here, right? I mean, you broke out, so it should be able to continue off that. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. Again, this also kind of lines up, these real estate and like KRE, which we'll go to in a second because we're going to talk about fins, right? It kind of looks like the Russell, right? We just backed off over the last week. We haven't really bounced much. We'll see if these start trading up and maybe, an XLK starts to come back in. 235 XLK retest. We'll see. But yeah, XLF down a penny. No problems. It's a little overdone, but the banks here, the other banks, again, just pulling back here. Broker dealers, they look really tired, but I've learned never to bet against them. So until they establish a downtrend, they are on borrowed time though. Oil here, again, weak. Trend is down, and it's just lower high, lower high, lower high. I don't think there's a ton of downside left. I keep saying that over and over. I'm not playing it. But I'm looking for a low here in the middle of the month. Another one. And then I think it starts to ramp up into quarter one. Same thing with XLE. So a good pullback pattern there on XLE. XOP and OIH are weaker, and that's usually the case. So good outside move today on OIH. CCJ, new all-time high, but it did close red. It's not broken, no. It closed red by 8 cents. What I don't like is URNM and URNJ. They're not really, like CCJ is gaining so much performance versus them. So we want to see this back above 24, and we want to see NM back above 50. That story has not changed in almost 3 weeks. Nat gas. Getting a little bit of bounce up a penny. I can see it getting a little bit more of a rally here, but I think it's another lower high. So, I'm not all that interested here. Dollar index inside of our little wedge there. And again, I know it's a messy chart, but it's like that for a reason. So again, big trend line, big trend line. And who knows, next week, maybe we break out of this and then maybe yields start to reverse and everybody starts to freak out about inflation again. Maybe CPI upticks. Otherwise, you're going back to 104 to 104.50. Gold, we know a move is coming. Right now, though, the longer this just goes sideways, the more you got to just defer to the trend here on the bigger time frame, and that is up. What have I been saying for the last 3 weeks? What you want to see here as a gold bull is a tightening range, and that's what we're seeing. So if this rolls over, then we're going to start looking at it like this. Because I'm still going to defer to the trend. I'm going to start looking at it like, okay, is this a bull flag here? Right? And then, we could talk about 2,500, maybe 2,450. So that still wouldn't necessarily damage the chart or ruin anything. Just ask Bitcoin and just ask all the people who thought that this big pattern here on Bitcoin was bearish because there was lower highs. 100,000 now. So, and I think gold's interesting too. Nobody cares about it. It's kind of forgotten about. Obviously, crypto's stealing the show right now, and a lot of other things are stealing the show, so it's not a surprise, but just keep this on mind. What I do like for precious metals here, at least for gold, silver down 5 cents today, but look at the pattern here on the 4 hour. It's not bad. Like, you have a nice inside bar here with volume, and you're just consolidating beneath this resistance. So if you can push through that, I think the gold can get a bid here. I don't like the other ones. Platinum and palladium are just nothing here right now. So I'd say platinum, kind of need to hold 920, 915, and palladium, 900 or so. I do like them long term. I just don't see anything in the near term right now. Copper flat here continues to test 425. It hammers on this again. I think it goes through it. We'll see. The trend is down though on the daily. And then the coins here, again, I talked about this yesterday. It's funny, I did the video. I finished the video before we got this, and we actually had a day trade, a scalp on this thing right at the well, it wasn't even right here. It was like just above that. We made like just hardly anything, but we had this huge flush out, margin flush. I'm telling you, that IBIT, that 60 level, I think that's going to hold. Now, I also said very specifically, I don't think there's anything too bearish for Bitcoin here. Why did I say that? Because look at ETH. Yesterday, all it did was do a spinning top, and then boom, new highs today. Or fresh new local highs anyway. Above 4K. Does anybody think this pattern looks bad? Is there anyone out there who thinks this pattern's bad? I don't think so. Maybe that's the contrarian play, but I don't know. It looks pretty good to me. So, yeah, like I said, this can just coil here and then go higher. I just don't see us getting through 105 right now. Unless buyers come back with, like, unless buyers are furious. It's going to take a lot to get through that. But if we do, then we're looking at like 114, 115. So crypto's still acting well. They just got to flush some people out, I guess. And they do that every now and then, right? Anyway, again, spiders here. We got, well, SPX we touched. I mean, barely hit, not even. It's 60.9997, 6100 call wall. That'll still be there next week. So I think that's probably it. That's another reason why I think we could dip next week. There's a lot of reasons. But again, I think that's all it is a dip. And I wouldn't really be like swinging against that, just maybe in the short term, looking for a pullback. So anyways, guys, I'll wrap it up here. Again, you guys take care. Don't forget to come find me on carnivoretrades.com. See you guys all on Monday.